Throughout the journey of man on earth, man searched and searched and searched for everything that he saw. But man did not ever search for God. And when the children of God lost the way to God, they too went searching for God. And like all the tribes on earth, the children found their many gods that were false. And so God knew that every way that the world bowed down to false gods, the world could not find the creation God. And so all men went in the wayward way, because no man found the way to the Creator gods. It was told to men that you cannot serve two masters. And so when man bowed down to all the false gods he found, he could no longer find the way to his Creator gods. And because the children of God had not the divine light of their Creator gods within them, for their lights departed from them when they walked in the way of disobedience, the children too were never able to find their God. There are many things that we say to you, that we give to you to say, that in all the ways that the world is, it is in all the ways in which all their many false gods have taken them. And every way that it was told that nation shall rise up against itself, and nation shall rise up against nation, and that man will never be able to cling one to another, so has God shown everyone the way in which the prophecies of God are being fulfilled. In all the lands on earth, man will turn against man. In all the countries of earth, country will turn against country. In all the families on earth, families will turn against each other. And in all of the earth, man will turn against man. These things, says God, are all that have been foretold. For God saw the unraveling of evil and the turmoil and destruction that it brings. And so in every way that God keeps showing the children that in going the wayward way, they too found themselves going in the perishing way, the children still did not understand what we told them. In all the nations on earth, man chose man above God. And man said, let us elect these, that they may rule over us. And man did not select God. And God knew that wherever man would rule in this world, man will be deceived by all that which is given, that comes from those who rule on high. In every part of earth, God shows man that all those who they elected to rule over them are all those who bring pain and suffering unto them. For man did not listen to God. For in all the warnings God giveth unto man, God told man, place not thy trust in man, but in thy God, and God alone. And God says unto your son, man did not listen. The children did not listen. And the children now find themselves crying out to a God they did not know and they did not choose. And so we give to you that in all the ways that we have said that this earth will experience suffering in an unknown form, it will come to pass. For everything that is unleashed in all parts of earth are all the ways in which the Creator gods show all men that which they had chosen as gods above your Creator God, and every turmoil that will bring devastation to every part of earth. It will show man why God told man, there is only one God. Let there be none other gods that come before your God. Man does not understand what the term God means, because man fashioned God's image and God's likeness in all the ways in which he constructed his ideas of God. And wherever man abounds on earth, he has no knowledge of what the God that created the world as God meant, because man did not know the way to be God. God says unto you, let the children know that in all the ways that they were of the divine essence, that is known as ether, that is the way they were gods. For all things that are in the world of the world ever was and will be are all that which is of the divine essence, not seen but felt and known. That is ether, is that which is referred to as God. For until man is able to come up higher and to know the wisdom that is of the divine, he could not have known the things that are of the higher ways of a higher God. For in descending this low into this valley, man lost his connectedness with his own creation, and he was no longer able to know what it means to be created nor does he know how creation ever produced the things that he sees. The children of God had no knowledge of who they were because they lost the divine essence, that is ether, that was given to them, and they were no longer able to know the things that they had been given to know. For that which is of the divine cannot dwell in the valley of death. And so God shows everybody that everything that exists in this valley perishes because it is of the nether elements and not of the ether essence. These things you teach because man does not know why in all the ages that he existed, his world was always in turmoil and he was always producing destruction in every way that he went, because he did not know that in this lowly valley he had descended to nothingness. Man never asks your God, why do we dwell with beasts and all manner of creepy crawly things in this world, when we are supposed to be of your image and likeness, and we are supposed to be of the higher ways of a higher God? A man did not ask your God, because your God did not give man to ask. And God did not give man to ask because man chose all the many false gods on earth above their creator gods. And so the truth was never known to man and could not have been known to man, because man did not walk the path of light, and man was never able to discern the things of light, because all men went in the darkness of a world they still do not know. See this world that man lives in, that all men fight and kill and steal and does all manner of terrible things for, is a world that God showed them is an illusion. Because all it is all that God shows man manifests from a lower life. And everything that man went after, God told man, you did everything to acquire everything that is lesser than yourself. Everything that you see is lesser than you. And yet you did not see that in all the ways that these things are lesser than you, you made them greater than you. You want to kill for it. You want to steal for it. You deceive for it. And God asks man what it is that you need to be given to understand that all that you see is all that God wanted you to know was that which came from a lower self from within you, because you created them from your lower self. You created them from your lower self, and therefore they are lesser than you. Everywhere man went is the same old story. It is the same old story. And God looked at man, and God knew that man was never wise, could never be wise. For he had not the divine wisdom of God to interpret what he was given to see, that he may come to the true knowledge of all things. And knowing these things, he would be set on the path to truth and enlightenment. So you would tell them, God shows every one of you. Why you were told you went the wrong way. Why you were told that you walked the way of error. And why darkness fell upon you. And in every part of this earth, God wanted man to recognize that the things that you see external to you are all manifestations of the way God wanted man to know that they were of nether, and they are not of ether. And anything that is of nether never ever lasts. So why are you pursuing the things that never last and other things that are eternal of God in ether? And there was never a time when man understood these things. And when the children knew it, they knew that they can recreate everything that they saw outside of themselves because they created it in the first place. And that in every way that they would create it, God would show them when they did not make these things greater than themselves, they would then be able to create even greater things. And so in the cycle, in the eternal cycle of life, they would discover that they can always create things that are better than what they originally created or saw. That is why God said to you, man doesn't even understand that in this form that he is, God can recreate a different form of man. And because the children of God did not know what form they were when they came from the Son, they didn't know that this is a lower form to the form in which they came. They had no knowledge of these things because they lost the divinity of the Mother, Father, Creator gods. And when they lost it, they lost everything that carried the wisdom that is divine, that carries the truth that is of God given to them. And so the time has come when we say to you, preach and teach. Preach and teach. For God's promise to the children of God must be fulfilled. For the promise of God unto them is to restore them back into the way in which they were able to know the things that are sacred and divine of God, and to walk in the path of light that was righteous unto your mother and father God. Teach and preach. Teach and preach. For the salvation of the children of God lies within them and them alone. And until they find the way to know the way of that which is great within them, they will always walk the way of darkness and never find the way to their own salvation. Let them know there is no one that will bring salvation to them. No one is coming back from the dead to bring salvation to them. No one can give them salvation but the God within themselves. For they must know that in all the ways they look yet for another and found none, that they were always lost in this world. God said if you look around the world, it's the same thing with the children. They're always looking for somebody else to save them, for somebody else to resolve their difficulties, for somebody else to look after them. And God says, tell them, it's all within you. It's all within you. And unless you hear and follow the way that is given to you, that you may discover the path to light that brings you to the full understanding of you and God in you, you will always be lost in this valley. We give you light greater than the light of man, that you may shine the way for the children of God to see and to know, so that in all the things that we give unto you to say and to do, so will the children of God be led out of the bondage of darkness that they find themselves in, and they will rediscover the greatness that is hidden in them, that they too may walk in the way of God as man.